rejected Aamir Khan.
I rejected Aamir Khan. I did actually, in this case, yeah. Because I've started my own little imprint, my own little production house called Kindling Pictures. I will hang out with Reena quite apart from Aamir. I would hang out with Nuzat. You know, so it's my sisters-in-law live upstairs. I adore them. So these are relationships that obviously you won't lose if you get divorced. I mean, you shouldn't.
So we are at Aamir Khan Productions in Bandra, Mumbai, and I've just watched really what I think is going to be the film of the year. Laapataa Ladies is very sweet, it's very sincere, it is very clever, it has your footprint all over it, and I wish you amazing things with it. It's still a month away from release, but I know it's going to be huge.
I'm so glad you liked it, Namrata. I've been waiting for you to see it since our TIFF outing.
Yeah.
Really happy you like it. Really happy.
What drew you to the story?
You know, when Aamir first told me about it, the hook was so delicious. You know, these women getting swapped and, you know, kind of like it being, in a sense, a coming of age for one of these characters, but a kind of a little bit of a mystery about what's going to happen, and, you know, that kind of like a little bit suspenseful.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I mean, when I read the story, I felt like the girls could be better developed a little bit, and I felt like the story could be more fun.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that it was ripe with potential. You know, because as a story, it was what Biplab had written was absolutely fantastic as a blueprint.
Yeah.
But it could become a sort of a funny whodunit sort of like caper story, while also being, you know, this coming of age for one of the characters, the other one, you know, sort of telling the story of many, many girls in India.
Yeah.
So many things that we could do with it, and that's what drew me to it, because I felt here's a story that we can do lots of things with, you know, but in the guise of just a funny, you know, comedy drama story.
So it drew from the book, and the book is basically the outline, but you've added your own.
It's not a book. It's originally a screenplay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's originally a screen. No, it was a screenplay that Biplab Goswami submitted to to a screenwriting competition, which he won a prize in, and Aamir was one of the judges at. And that's how Aamir read the story and said that, you know, this is a story I really think you like and we should acquire the rights, and that's what we did.
Nice. Tell me one of your favorite scenes from the movie.
Well, you know, one of my top favorite things didn't make it to the movie. We are hoping to make it into a music video, which is a song where the girl leaves home, and the whole song was shot on the river. So it was kind of, we had designed it as the river of life, you know, as the couple are passing. There's a newlywed couple, and she's really worried about going out into the world with someone who's kind of unknown, but she kind of likes him. She's already likes him a lot. But it's about all her sort of questions and anxieties. But as they go down that river, they pass scenes from, you know, different aspects of life. So there's a machwara. So you see, you know, someone there at the river for their livelihood. There's women drying saris on the banks. There's a cremation happening on the banks, you know. So you kind of see life down the river of, they're kind of going down the river of life almost. And how by the end of it, they, you know, where they were a little bit awkward, they're really comfortable by the end of that river journey. It was a really sweet song, and it was really one of my favorite things to shoot, because it was complicated. We were on a different boat, we had a drone, we had them on another boat, and we shot for 2 days on the river. That was really my favorite shoot. So I'm hoping to make it into a music video, because only like a couple of shots made it to the film. But a scene that you would have seen and that I really like is the scene between all the women at night, after dinner, like a kind of after dinner chat that the women are having, the mother-in-laws and the daughters-in-law, in a sense.
Like, let's be friends. Let's not just be relatives. That's very special. So it's produced, of course, by Aamir. And was the move not to have any famous or established stars in it? Was it deliberate or was it challenging?
It was kind of deliberate. I was really lucky because Aamir was fully, you know, sort of supportive of the idea. In fact, he also felt very strongly that the story needed to be very rooted, very authentic, and with faces that were fresh enough to be very believable in this rural setting, and also not raise expectations of any kind, so that we could, you know, play it out the way, you know, it plays out. So so I think it really helped that these actors came with their own sort of unique, physically and facially, they're very unique and interesting faces. They're different than a lot of the faces perhaps you're accustomed to seeing in more sort of glamorous big Bollywood films. So that was important to me, that they feel like 20 years ago in a village.
I think Aamir would make a special appearance.
Yeah, he would have really liked to, actually. In fact, there was a very, you know, like Aamir and I had long discussions about whether he should play Manohar's character, which was played by Ravi Kishan. And Aamir said, look, I really love the character. I really want to play it. And he did a test. In fact, he actually did an audition for the role. And he was really good, obviously. He did it really well. He, you know, did full costume makeup, did the lines and everything. But when we sort of saw Ravi Kishan, and I did a sort of test with Ravi Kishan, and I told Aamir, like, you know, what do you think? Because I really feel like he brings a sort of a complete surprise to this character, because you don't know what to expect from him. Whereas when Aamir is in a role, it sort of sets up expectations for this character, you know, who is kind of not an antagonist, but like sort of, you know, he's a bit of a surprise.
Aamir Khan.
I rejected Aamir Khan. I did, actually, in this case, yeah. And I think Aamir was very in on that decision as well. By the end of it, he was like, yeah, Ravi can do this in a way that, you know, perhaps I wouldn't do full justice to it.
Ravi was great.
He really, like, he actually had brought like a kind of a juiciness to this character with all his punch. He's just so perfect as a slimy cop, you know, he's just brilliant.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Tell me about Toronto. You showed it there and you got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And everyone who's seen it has been raving about it. So what was the feeling like?
It was really quite, I was nervous. It was really, in many ways, just the reaction that you would want after not having had a film being shown to audiences for more than 10 years. You know, so I was kind of nervous. I was always also nervous about the fact that a lot of it is humor in dialect. It's humor in, you know, the cadence and the writing of the cadence of the writing, like, you know, the way the lines play out. There's a lot of humor in dialogue, and I wasn't sure it would translate as well in subtitles, you know. So through the subtitles, I was scared would lose some of that, you know, some of that, like a little bit of like the quick, the rural flavor of the film, you know, and the sweetness that Bhojpuri actually has, you know. So that's like a Bhojpuriized Hindi. But clear, you know, we were sitting in the screenings and people were laughing, and when they all stood up at the end, and this is a paying audience, you know, they pay for their tickets, so it's really a genuine reaction. So when everybody stood up and clapped, and both the screenings we had, you know, standing ovations, I really felt very validated and very happy that, you know, the film was working, and it was our very first time showing it to an audience. So I couldn't have asked for a better response, honestly.
But you know, if I were to compare this to Dhobi Ghat, which is such a Bombay film, you know, in such an urban setting, you know, it's got like that whole professional energy and the class interdependence of Dhobi Ghat, for example. And then this film is such a departure from that, because it really does have such a great rural flavor. How is it wearing these two hats? I mean, has it been a while? Were you ready to do something which is out of your comfort zone? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really ready. I felt like this was something I really wanted to sink my teeth into, because it was one was the story gave me so much potential in terms of like exploring issues that I wanted to talk about and speak to a much broader audience, which I was very excited about, honestly, because I feel we can do that while retaining our own aesthetic identity. Like, I feel like this film is very me, but it's still a very sort of I would say broad sort of mass film in that sense. I feel anyone can watch it and relate to it and enjoy different things about it. So for me, it was a really exciting challenge, honestly. It was pushing myself beyond, making things that I thought people like me or I would only like, but also looking at what I could bring to a subject that I feel could be much broader. So for me, it was like exciting. It felt like someone had tossed me a challenge, and I really.
What were the challenges?
Sorry, were there challenges? The challenges really were, for me, more actually shooting and editing comedy. Because I love comedy and I enjoy the idea of comedy. I'm good at drama. I know how to do drama, but it was important for me to hit the right notes of comedy because this is situational comedy. A lot of the humor is in dialogue. I mean, the situation could easily be tragic. These women have been swapped, and originally when the story was written, it was kind of more realistic, and it was really about like the dilemma of having lost these two girls and the two girls' personal dilemmas. But I knew that there was opportunity to make it lighter and more a humorous, satirical take on what could be like otherwise a dark story, and lots of things could happen to women who end up in places they don't expect.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to make it, to give people these insights that, the same situation when looked at in a different way can, sort of surprise you and lead you to something more uplifting, more optimistic. I wanted a film of hope. And comedy for me was the real exciting challenge, honestly. And I really enjoyed that. It was the trickiest part, I think, of this film was the editing, because we went from a much longer edit to making it much sharper and changing around, especially working on the first 10 minutes of the film. That took me the longest time, honestly, because that's where actually I lost the river song, and there are lots of things that I lost, but I think we gained a lot because the film, the hook sinks much faster. People are like kind of in it faster. So yeah, the editing was more of a challenge than anything else. Also, we were shooting during COVID. That was the big challenge that I should talk about. Honestly, we shot in the beginning of 2022 when Omicron had just taken over, and we were shooting on railway stations with 200 extras, on the train. It was a risk, of course, for a crew, cast, and all the extras. So how to make the set secure, and that was one of the bigger challenges. My DOP got COVID. I got COVID. We all at various stages had to recast because of COVID. It was quite entertaining and challenging.
I'm just glad it's behind us, or nearly behind us, and we only have stories to tell now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I also want to ask you about the casting of the film, because other than the main stars who are really handpicked, I'm sure, I think all the peripheral stars are also like perfectly cast. So tell me about both.
Yeah, for me, they were so important because, you really, you buy into the world if everybody fits it, and I think one of the films that does it really well is Aankho Dekhi, where you feel every character, fits. And I really wanted to achieve that. I wanted you to feel like, yes, this Nirmal Pradesh exists. This problem has happened, and for that, actually, we did a lot of local casting. Our casting director, really cast the net far and wide. And when we were shooting in MP, we knew we wanted people a lot from the region. One, because they were good with the dialect and doing this Bhojpuriized Hindi. And I felt like, when we were casting, we wanted to stick to families that looked like families, and not just good actors. So it was tricky. Apart from the lead, most of the lead cast is from, now live in Bombay, but lots of them are from UP, Bihar, MP, and in fact from theatre groups in Indore, Bhopal, Jabalpur. We have actors from all around that region, and I think that made a huge difference, not just to the freshness of the faces, but to how, the sort of authenticness of their performance. Like they all are from that milieu and very natural in it.
Kiran, I love all the films that you've backed also. You have this little intellectual energy or this sort of edge that, you brought on to sponsorship of TCS or 50 Live also, which also had you quite active in it. But why have we been deprived for 12, 13 years?
Very hard, Namrata. I have been writing. I've been part of productions at Aamir Khan Productions. I've been producing. So post my film, there were a whole slate of films that we made, including Dangal and Secret Superstar. And I've been involved in all these films, but I've consistently been trying to write and develop projects that I wanted to make. And honestly, I also gave a lot of my time to my family, and I really enjoyed the process of raising Azad more than anything, any of the other hats that I wore, because I had a child late and at a stage when I knew I wanted a child, and I had an absolutely, touchwood, amazing companion in my life. He's just such a great kid, and that I wouldn't trade that for anything really. So I have no regrets. But when I was a lot of my writing sort of, which takes raising a child takes a lot of the creative part of your mind. You realize, you kind of are absorbed with this human and all the things that you want to do. So the writing was slow, and I didn't have collaborators to kind of get the writing to a point when I was ready to make a film. So I suppose it was subconsciously I wasn't ready to just say that, whatever I've written, I'm going to go for it. I feel like this film has taken 4 years to make because of lockdowns, and we started writing it in 2020. So it's been a while on this film, but it's still my earlier film was out in 2011, so it had already been 9 years. And I think it took me a while to feel like I was ready. And honestly, I feel like when the right project comes your way, you kind of know. And I knew this one, I knew I wouldn't be able to write it, which was in some ways a relief for me, because I didn't think I was qualified. And I'm so glad I didn't try to write it, because both Biplab, Sneha, and then Divyanidhi Sharma, who kind of developed Manohar's character and worked a little bit also to clean up the dialect. They did something that I couldn't have done. So I suppose when the time is right, it's right. And I hope this is the best comeback I could have made to cinema.
It's a great comeback. Early comeback, and early in your career comeback, but a great comeback. And how old is Azad now?
He's 12. Yeah. Literally, he was born the year Dhobi Ghat released. In the after Dhobi Ghat released, I kind of got into actively again trying to have a child, and Azad was born in 2011, end of 2011. So yeah.
So how involved are you at the production house, and what is your role?
So at AKP now, I'm kind of much more, I've pulled back a little bit. I'm kind of more in an advisory capacity, because I've started my own little imprint, my own little production house called Kindling Pictures. And I'm trying to, all the projects that I'd been developing in the last 10 years, we're sort of now full-fledged into development, and there's a bunch of things on our slate going forward, features and shows. So we're quite excited, because Kindling is kindling a lot of projects, and we're hoping to, go by the end of the year, have something that we're shooting already. So yeah, hopefully. So so AKP will, and I will still have strong ties. I don't intend to, because I absolutely love the work we've been doing there. But this is something kind of much more personal.
Yeah. So anything you're ready to share about Kindling?
Well, actually nothing. But there are 2 shows that we're shopping with. Like, one is a very, very contemporary, again, about 2 women, and it's again a comedy, and it's sort of aimed again at a broad audience, but it's a show which will hopefully go on to many seasons. But it's a for the streaming services. There's another more historical show, which is something that I wrote, which is set in Calcutta and Darjeeling, and has 3 generations of women from the kind of India's independence, early 40s to the present day. So, and it's an Anglo-Burmese, Anglo-Burmese, and Bengali woman's story, like 3 generations of women, and really the geopolitical kind of backdrop of India's independence, and then Gorkhaland, and a whole bunch of things that the East
from the eyes of the women.
From the eyes of the women. And also being, multi sort of ethnicity, sort of women who kind of find Calcutta as the home, but also are not, necessarily insiders, fighting to be accepted. So that starts with this Burmese woman who migrates to Calcutta. So it's kind of...
That area is very porous and fluid.
It is. I mean, getting less so, but back then when the war happened, when World War II happened, and the British attacked, Japanese attacked Burma, there was a whole flight of Indians who used to work in Burma to back into India, and lots of people died on that route coming back, because the British took the ships and the Indians had to go the land route. So through the thick jungles, they would land in Nagaland and then find their way to Calcutta and then find their way to the rest of the country. So it really also starts with World War II, and comes to the present day with the granddaughter.
Nice.
So that's a kind of one show, and then there's several other scripts that we've kind of at various stages of development. I'm not sure what will take off first. We've got lots of pots on the fire.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Paani Foundation, because I follow it ever since we met, and I've been looking at your videos about it. What are you doing now with it? Where are you at with it?
So actually, Paani Foundation is at a very, very exciting juncture, honestly. We ran the Water Cup, which was where villages competed for watershed management as a prize, which was called the Water Cup. And we found great success with the Water Cup, and we had gone up to 75 talukas, and 40,000, thousands of villages were, tens of thousands of villages participated. But we realized that when villages became water sufficient, they would start growing sugarcane or other really water intensive crops, and then they would go back to being drought affected, and water insufficient. So we realized that it was much more important to kind of deal with the problems that farming and agriculture pose as economically stable occupations. If the reason people choose sugarcane is that it's a secure crop. So we studied about 25, 26 crops and what kind of practices exist in the region, and realized that there's a long way to go in terms of best practices for all these crops. And one of the things that we realized was that if farmers work collectively, it benefits them greatly in economic terms, as well as in ecological terms. You can make farming much more ecologically friendly as well. So we started something called greener as well as prosperous. So we started something called the Farmer Cup. In fact, at the end of this month, we have our first Farmer Cup prize. We started it as a pilot project last year, and it took off. But basically, the idea is that collectivization will make all of these farmers much more secure, and it's amazing the response that we've had. We've started much smaller than Water Cup, but for one, women have taken to it hugely, and there are lots and lots of only women collectives. It's called Gathesheti, and so many women guts in this year's competition. There's been a lot, and actually the upside is that with just non-pesticide management and sort of like best practices that we've been teaching through what we call the digital Sheti Shalas. That's our main way of communicating, is that we have a weekly class on what the best practices are for each crop. Just through that, the output, the harvest is so much better. So we are really excited about the Farmer Cup.
Was it exciting traveling to villages? I thought about it when that whole scene came about.
Yeah, no. So this for this cup, I have not, because of post production, not been able really to go and visit. But this, I mean, on the 29th of February, we are having our prize distribution. But it's absolutely amazing what the videos we've been watching of people who've seen the results, and in fact, if you go to our website, you'll see. So and it's amazing how small things make very big differences, including things like seed selection or non-pesticide management of this kind, which finally yield in actually much healthier and better produce. So it's very exciting actually. I feel like the upside is limitless, and honestly it's something that, so what they make is finally a farmer producer company, and they earn also from small value additions to the crop, like cleaning, packaging, sorting, cleaning, sorting, packaging, which really we realize that farmers just never earn that like additional value after doing a whole year of work. Somebody else just sorts, cleans, and earns all that.
Teach them to close that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so exciting to hear you.
Lots and lots of sort of other parallels that we are adding on to these this part of the program. It's very exciting.
To entrepreneurs.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the idea.
That's great. So the first big wedding in the family.
Yeah.
Sweet Ira.
Yeah.
And I loved all the images and the videos, and I mean, and also the fact that it showed everyone as this big happy family. Share some thoughts from the wedding, share some behind the scenes.
It was just so much fun, and it was so beautifully curated by Ira and Popeye, because they kept us all in mind. We're a large family. We all enjoy each other's company a lot, and we have particular and peculiar things that we all like doing. We like music, we like sports, so they've managed to incorporate all these fun things into the wedding that you wouldn't normally have. Like you wouldn't have this what was it called, like a obstacle course that we had the bride team and the groom team actually compete. And we, of course, singing, we did this sangeet, which we often do for our family weddings. Is like there's a bunch of rude songs that you have to trade with the other side. It's nice hedging that goes on, and then kind of get to know the other side better, which in this case, Preetam, who's Popeye's mom, and all of Popeye's family are just absolutely wonderful people. So it was just lovely. And honestly, it's a hangover that has yet to come down. Like, it's we are still living the days of the wedding. It was a lovely, lovely wedding. And they're a lovely couple, honestly. They're just such sweethearts.
Really authentic.
Yeah, they're just adorable kids.
So you were saying Ira gave you a lovely gift.
She did. She knows that I love Berlin, the city, and she's an excellent painter. We all were hoping she would take art finally and become an artist like her mom, who's also an amazing painter. So so she painted me an little oil painting of a street in Berlin. She said, "I don't know which your favorite street is, but this was a street that has a cafe called Café du Cinema." Okay. And she painted me a little painting of this street. And it was just, I mean, I didn't expect it. It was just the sweetest gift you could give. I mean, in the middle of a wedding, planning your wedding, to think of, individual gifts that would appeal to each of us. I mean, we were all in tears, but it was just very, very sweet. Yeah.
But I also love that the shiny, big, happy family is blended on so many levels. I find it very modern that there is such a thing as a happy divorce, and there is such a thing as still maintaining a great family energy, even though the marriage may be over, the family is not over, and it's such a new way of looking at things. And having someone, with the size and scale of Aamir doing it, I think it was wonderful.
Yeah, it's true. I think it takes, for Aamir, it comes very naturally, and it comes very naturally to us as people to be inclusive. And we all our families, actually my family was also at the wedding, and it's something that honestly we don't have to think about. It felt, we are family. In fact, we have Monday night dinners where we all get together, so we also live literally hop, skip, and literally in a housing, like society. It feels like my mom-in-law's upstairs, Reena's next door, Nuzat is next door. So it just, it's, I think, because we genuinely like each other as human beings, like as people. I will hang out with Reena quite apart from Aamir. I would hang out with Nuzat, so it's my sisters-in-law live upstairs. I adore them. So these are relationships that obviously you won't lose if you get divorced. I mean, you shouldn't. And we didn't have an acrimonious divorce in any case. I mean, we parted as not just friends, but very much family. So it's quite natural, and I highly encourage it, because I feel like if you don't have this kind of sort of familial bond at the end of a marriage, it's something that you kind of might be losing out on, because there's so many years that you would have put into that relationship. It's you take away the best from it, really.
That's really a great way of looking at it. It's a new kind of adulting that's very welcome and much needed, I think, for all of us. But listen, Laapata Ladies is outstanding.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best again with it. And thank you very much for sitting down and chatting with me.
My absolute pleasure.
See you at the next party.
Yay, yes.